Hi ladies and gentlemen, this is Tony Holowitz, and I want to talk to you about a little bit of an issue that comes up when working with ACT and Outlook. A lot of times I get the question of what is the difference between ACT and Outlook, and let me tell you how I describe that. Well, in my opinion, Outlook is a fantastic email program. ACT is a fantastic contact manager. ACT, in my opinion, is sort of a lousy email program within itself. Outlook as a contact manager, in my opinion, isn't that great. And the reason I don't like Outlook as a contact manager is this, and actually there's a few reasons. First, what I really like about ACT is when you're looking at a contact, you're seeing all the relevant information. It's the primary part of what you see when you work with ACT. For example, right here I'm seeing the contact, the company, the title, department, all the relevant information. I sort of look at it as like my business card. Yes, you can see something like this in Outlook, but it's not the primary thing most people see. And the primary reason people use Outlook is as an email program. Yes, they keep addresses in there. Yeah, I know you can do that, but it's not the primary focus, in my opinion. Now, having said that, when you're working with ACT, ACT is what I call a contact-based software program. So for example, if I want to do something on behalf of Colleen, well, I can schedule a call, a meeting, I can take notes, I can do whatever I need to do related to Colleen. Outlook, and let me pull that up on the screen, is not what I refer to as contact-based. In other words, if I want to call Colleen, what I can do is go on the calendar and just simply go to a day, and for example, if I want to do it for this afternoon at noontime, I can just type in call Colleen. And I might not even know which Colleen that is, but it's on my calendar and that will pop up reminding me to call Colleen, and that's assuming that I know which Colleen to call. When you take something on Outlook and you put it on the Outlook calendar, to clear it, you just simply click on it and hit delete, and it's gone. But when you do that, there's no record of it. If I go back to ACT and I schedule something with Colleen, and for example, there are things scheduled down here that were just there randomly, what happens is when I clear whatever it is that I have scheduled, it creates a record or a history. So Outlook really doesn't create a record or a history. If Colleen ever came back to me and said, I don't owe you that money, we never met and discussed that, I can go back into my history and say, you know what? These are all the things that I've done on behalf of Colleen or with Colleen, and I have a history. And one of my histories might be met at lunch, talked about proposal, she agreed to it over cheesecake after lunch, and I can put detailed information in there. So ACT is contact based, Outlook is more random. In other words, you don't put things specifically with contacts. So that is a big difference. ACT has a better history than Outlook does. And when you clear things on the ACT calendar, you create a history. Calendar in Outlook, you don't. Now, on that note, because everything you do in ACT, you have to get to the contact and then schedule it with the contact, sometimes I don't want to do that. I have a client that I've got a call this afternoon whose name is John. And I've got it scheduled in ACT, but sometimes I want to be reminded in more than one way. So I was thinking about it just a little while ago, and all I have to do is click somewhere in Outlook, call John. In other words, I can use this almost as like a notepad, and I don't have to do anything complicated. I don't have to go look up the contact, schedule it. There's multiple steps within ACT. This is sort of brief. This is random. This isn't that important. So when I use ACT and Outlook together, I use both of them. And I will use my Outlook calendar for things that aren't quite as relevant. They're common little things or things that I just want to be reminded of throughout the day. It might be something related to, ask my wife to pick up some bread, ask her to pick up some milk at the store. Not anything I'm going to take the time to go into ACT and find her contact and schedule it. Random little things. So between the ACT calendar, which is my primary planning calendar, and the Outlook calendar, my day is pretty well covered, and it's rare when I let things slip through the cracks. Don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect, things happen, but I use the Outlook calendar for quick items that I want to get on the calendar, but my primary planning tool is Act. Because when it's really important, like a meeting, like a lunch, or a 2 hour proposal, go into Act and schedule it there, because that's really the key. But when you're writing that proposal, you might want to make a quick note to yourself as you're doing it in Outlook and say, don't forget to talk about price versus cost. And I can just put it here real quick in proposal. And I'm just doing some abbreviation. That's it. So you can use both things rather effectively together, and I do recommend it. Act, again, is a great contact manager. I think Outlook falls down in that department, but Outlook is a great email program. I think Act falls down in that department. Together, combined, they're very powerful. And if you use the calendars together for different ways of using them, well, I think they're both very effective. And you're getting the best of both worlds. That's my opinion. Outlook versus Act, Act versus Outlook, however you want to look at it. That's my 2 cents. Thank you. Have a great day.